Good morning and welcome to this beautiful Friday morning here in the land of enchantment, the Tierra del Encanto, the 47 star on that beautiful flag of the United States of America. My name is Brian Colon. It is an honor and privilege to be with you this morning on this particular episode of Cafecito con Colon. And I'm going to ask all my guests to mute out for just a couple minutes while we get introduced and we line up this great show. It has been some time since we've been able to bring you an episode of Cafecito con Colon because my schedule has been particularly robust and enriched. And so I haven't been able to join you on Fridays like we were doing for quite some time. We did over 300 episodes of Cafecito con Colon, and it has really been an enriching experience for me and all our guests. During the pandemic, we pivoted and we said we are going to shine a spotlight on important issues to our community. We're going to shine a spotlight on organizations and individuals who are making a difference in our community to lift up ABQ and New Mexico. And here we've got a great opportunity to spotlight and highlight today, which is Citizenship and Constitution Day. And I'm telling you, I am surrounded by some of the most amazing, powerful, intellectual giants who all happen to be of the female gender. I am surrounded with intelligence and beauty and capacity today on Cafecito con Colon in a way that I've never been before, because we have 4 incredibly dynamic leaders in our community, and it's a true honor and privilege. Some are guests who I'm going to get to welcome back, and others are brand new to the show, but universally they are women who inspire me and allow me to live in a beautiful community that I call home, and that is the land of enchantment, the Tierra del Encanto. And before we get started with the episode, we're going to thank just a couple quick people, and I want to lead with saying, I partnered with the New Mexico Hispanic Heritage Committee about 6 months ago as we were doing these Friday episodes to spotlight and highlight our cultura, our herencia, our gente. And this is just another extension of that. The New Mexico Hispanic Heritage Committee asked if I would host this event today in celebration of Citizenship and Constitution Day. So I want to say thank you to the chair, Orlando Marquez, Versace Mariachi Marquez, and Beatriz Valencia, who coordinated today's event. And that took a lot because we've got some real superstars who have joined us today, and their schedules are pretty robust and enriched as well. And I'm going to just say thank you to Beatriz for making that happen. I want to say thanks also to the City of Albuquerque, the One Albuquerque, for really doing a great job of putting our people front and center, especially as we just kicked off Hispanic Heritage Month with a great event at the state fairgrounds yesterday. Thank you to the consul and everybody who joined in to celebrate the Mexican Independence Day as well. And so just a beautiful, beautiful week of celebration that has culminated in me being here with you today in my Gonzalo shirt. There you go. You got to love Gonzalo, 20 years of awesome New Mexico music. So gracias, Gonzalo, for all you do for New Mexico to lift up New Mexico music and our heritage. We want to say thank you to the Honorable Clarissa Peña and to her fantastic outreach coordinator, constituent services director, and phenomenal woman extraordinaire, Rachel Hernandez, for doing a great job of making today possible, and the Office of Equity and Inclusion at the City of Albuquerque, who all pitched in to say that this is a day of importance. And with that, let me just say that it is 9:04, and I've taken everything that I've had to say in just 4 quick minutes because I speak at 40 words a minute with gusts up to 70 on any given morning. So I hope you're having a great day here in the land of enchantment. Let me take a minute to offer an opportunity for each of our guests to actually introduce themselves. And I want to give them a chance because I've got their bios. And look, folks, I could be here for the next 56 minutes just talking about how fantastic each of their journeys have been. But I think it's going to be best if I allow them to speak to what's important on their journey as we open up this discussion about the importance of citizenship and Constitution Day. And I want to say also, before I go too much further, Lala Gonzalez, I think you're out there somewhere, and I hope you are, because you have been a light in my life for a really long time, and you have been also so instrumental in making today possible. And I just want to say thank you, Lala, for your leadership in our community. You make a huge difference, and you've made a difference in my life personally. Speaking of making a difference in our lives, I think the best thing we do in our community is pour into one another. And I have been able to pour into this young lady for nearly a decade now. I have just been inspired by her journey, her consistent commitment to community, and in particular, her community, the community of color. And I just want to say Jasmine has been just somebody who has never missed an opportunity to say yes when it comes to making a difference in our community. So Jasmine, I want to just say welcome to Cafecito con Colon. Thank you for being a part of my life. Thank you for being one of those young leaders who has inspired me to try and work as hard as I possibly can to pour into that next generation of awesome leaders. Because in this relationship, the mentor has become your mentee. So Jasmine, welcome to Cafecito con Colon on this beautiful Constitution and Citizenship Day. Bienvenidos. Gracias por venir. Take it away. Tell us a little bit about your journey and a little bit about the dynamic, incredible abogada you've become here in the land of enchantment. Take it away.
Thank you, Brian. That's a lot to live up to. Sometimes I sit and reflect on everything that's happened to get me to where I am today, and even I think, man, I don't know if I can live up to that story. That's a lot. So yeah, I definitely feel like I'm a product of community and a product of so many strong leaders and advocates that came before me. And I'm fortunate to have learned from everyone and fortunate to have had so many people believe in me and invest in my educational journey and my journey to leadership. And I think I'm still considered a youth in the immigrant rights movement. I'm not sure, but I'm going to claim it as long as I can. I'm originally from Los Mochis, Sinaloa, Mexico, and I come from a mixed immigration status family, and I've been undocumented most of my life until 2018 when I first received my green card. So excited to be here and talk about that. What does it mean to be undocumented in this country, to try to navigate higher education and academia, let alone law school and working full time to pay for tuition, because the system is set up in a way that we're not granted financial aid because of our immigration status. And then, fighting to get my law license. And then finally in December of 2017, becoming the first individual with DACA to be admitted to the state bar. So, I think about that and I'm like, oh my gosh, all the stars and the planets that had to align for that to happen. And all the fearless leaders and community organizers, from United We Dream, the New Mexico Dream Team, a panel of attorneys from my own law school who said, this isn't right and let's fix this. And also, my family and my friends who saw the sleepless nights. I think there's this glamour of being part of the success and, people saying like, yeah, I knew her when she was going through it, but no one like your family knows all the sleepless nights, how many pots of coffee you drank, how many times you cried thinking that you weren't going to make it through. And, all the individuals who, bless their souls, touched their hearts and said, we're going to help you. I'm thinking of one particular person who I met when I first started working at the city way back when as a law clerk, who at the time was working at UNM. And I came to her and I said, I owe over $15,000 to the law school. And I got an email that I was going to get dropped from the program because I haven't paid my tuition. But I promise you that I will pay it if you just set up a payment plan for me. And she's like, well, we don't really do it for that type of amount that's been owed. So, but let me see what I can do. I see that you've been paying tuition to us since 2010 and you haven't missed a payment and you've paid off everything. And I said, yes, like I will make it happen. And to me, to this day, she's still a really impactful person in my journey, because if it wouldn't have been for her and her advocacy for me, it would have ended that day. And then we wouldn't get to say, La abogada Jasmine, and being able to have community see themselves in us and knowing that there is a way. And if we come together, we can advocate for each other and really create systemic change, which leads me to where I am today. I'm now the managing city attorney of policy over at the City of Albuquerque, and super grateful to be working with a great group of individuals like Beatriz, who's our amazing OIRA coordinator now. And, it's the largest municipality in our state, and it's home to over between 60 to 90,000 immigrants in the metro area. And I think about this because we have so many foreign-born New Mexicans who are legal permanent residents, myself included. I and Jenny may be able to talk a little bit more about this, but we have so many individuals who are eligible to become citizens, and there are a lot of structural barriers in the system that make it difficult, whether it's monetary, but also the archaic immigration system that we have in place. So I am a proud Mexicana, proud Burqueña, and I hope that when my time comes in 2023, I can become a citizen myself and advocate for, you know, my community and my family. My twin sister is still a documented medical student and a surgery resident. And, you know, in 2020 and 2021, we took up the torch in the fight to change our state law to make sure that any person who is eligible to obtain professional and occupational licensing could do so, and that immigration status would not be a barrier. So I'm happy now to be at the city and to be part of a larger systemic change. You know, as many people already know, the city is an immigrant-friendly city. We passed a resolution under the Keller administration in 2018, and I'm happy to be here and happy to push that forward.
Well, I appreciate that very much. What a beautiful introduction. And I just want to amplify, you are not just working with the city, you are working for the city, and you are doing a phenomenal job. So thank you for taking your skill set to civil service. We need more people like you to step up and say, yes, I'll serve. I know you can get a lot more personal financial enrichment in the private sector, but you have decided to be a civil servant and serve our community. And as State Auditor of New Mexico, I get to celebrate that excellence, and you are a part of that celebration. So thank you for doing that. And I know we've got a lot of great people watching. We've got the Dr. Jennifer Gomez Chavez and Dr. Lawrence Roybal, and just phenomenal, phenomenal leaders. When I think of your story about who helped you at the University of New Mexico, the first person that comes to mind is Dr. Jennifer Gomez Chavez, because when I have students who are similarly situated, I call Dr. Jennifer Gomez Chavez, and she just unclogs that drain, and we get progress, and we allow to provide the support and structure for students to succeed. And when we do that, we end up with people like Jasmine. So let me just say, you are enriching our community. Thank you for being here today. I am going to go around the horn here on my computer screen, and I'm saving the Honorable Excellency, the Consul from Mexico. She's going to go last, but I'm going to, and she is just, it's really an honor to have her back on Cafecito con Colon. And I'm going to ask her to really kind of lean in a bilingual way so that we can absolutely and deeply impactfully communicate with those who are monolingual in our community, because on Citizenship and Constitution Day, we need to make sure that we are communicating with those who need to hear the message most. And it's that 50 some odd thousand people who are eligible for naturalization who really structurally are not convinced that that process exists for them and they can get through it. So I want to make sure that Consul, in her beautiful way that she always communicates with our community, and I'm so glad she's been able to maintain this post, because usually these incredible leaders at these posts get swiped up and moved around, and I've just been so grateful that she's been with us for so long. And here in Albuquerque, we're really blessed to have a strong consulate under her leadership. So, but let me first go to another individual who is a real superstar from the University of New Mexico, who graduated at the top of her class. She's very, very fancy, very, very incredible, incredibly intelligent, and she has decided to live a life of service. And I first met her years ago when I learned about the work of the New Mexico Immigrant Law Center, NMILC, and the work that they do in our community to make a difference. And a long time ago, I became a tiny donor, but with a big heart for the work that they do. And she has helped me navigate the waters for several of my mentees. When it came to the DACA program that we had here in New Mexico, she helped me navigate those waters. Lely and I were able to sponsor a couple of students, because let me tell you, it may have just been $400, $500, $600 for processing fees, but it might as well have been $100,000 to some of those students, because that $500 barrier was insurmountable. And we, Lely and I, and so many people in our community were able to help remove those barriers. But when it came to the process and the heavy lift and getting them from where they are to where they needed to be, NMILC under Jenny's leadership, they were able to make it happen and realize those dreams. So Jenny, I'm gonna let you take it away. She is a celebrated woman in our community, celebrated by the State Bar of New Mexico and many organizations. I was just at another event where Jenny received another accolade. I think it was a humanitarian award, if I've got that right, and I couldn't think of a better recipient. So Jenny, thank you for being on Cafecito con Colon today in honor of Citizenship and Constitution Day. Jenny, take it away.
Thank you so much, Brian. So just to give a little background, I co-founded NMILC in 2010 along with Megan Jordy. And the reason we founded the organization is because of the lack of resources for free legal services for immigrants in New Mexico. my personal story is that my grandparents, my father were refugees and from World War II and lost all of their family members. They were the only survivors. My father naturalized when he was 10 years old and was the translator and interpreter for his family, for his parents, and helped them become citizens. So citizenship and ensuring that immigrants have a home in the United States is really important to me on a personal level. Also, I don't believe our democracy can function without full citizenship for everyone. As Hasmin mentioned, in the state of New Mexico, there's estimated 53,000 individuals who are legal permanent residents and have not yet naturalized. In Albuquerque, there are an estimated 17,000. So there are, so many community members that could naturalize, but there are financial and other barriers. As Hasmin mentioned, the process is pretty complicated and difficult to navigate. So our organization does provide free services. We before the pandemic, we had a workshop at Encuentro every week in Albuquerque, a walking clinic where folks who were interested in citizenship could come and learn about the process. The COVID pandemic has made that a little more challenging, helping to navigate applications over the phone, especially for individuals that are older and have technological difficulties, has been a challenge. And we're really looking forward to being able to do in-person services again and support this important need in the community.
I love that. I appreciated that so much. And thank you for kind of starting out and leading with the passion point that led you to this work. I think it's so important that people really, especially in our community, understand the lens that we all look through. And you sharing that historical perspective means so much. Most people don't know, a lot of people call me Brian Colon, but some people still call me Brian Colon. But I'll just say this, that, I grew up in a household and with a father who didn't get through high school, and his, primary language was Spanish. And when he spoke to you, you knew that was his primary language. And that meant that even growing up in a community that was as beautiful as mine, it meant that some people really took that as an opportunity to poke fun and to marginalize and really kind of underestimate my father's capacity. And he had a great capacity to lift up others. And I think that's where I got that from. And I just appreciate you sharing that story, Jenny. Thank you so much. So let's see, we're going to get to and thank you for the work. And Jenny and I say it really fast. We're like NMILC, like it rolls right off our tongue, but most people are going like, what did you just say? And so what NMILC is New Mexico Immigrant Law Center. And let me just tell you, it is one of the most important resources in our community. It is underfunded, and they have a deeper impact dollar for dollar than just about any organization I know that serves this important community. So Jenny, thanks for your vision for that Immigrant Law Center. And thank you for the work you do every day. So with that, let me switch over to somebody. I can get really personal here because this is much like Hasmin, this is somebody who I have a deep personal relationship with, who I care about so much. I've watched her son grow up before my very eyes. That young man inspires me, not just because he's a beautiful young man, but also because he lives his values. He is a leader in our community. He works in the sector that, again, is his passion point in serving the community, much like his mom. And Irma Ruiz just finished a long-standing run with Dr. Jennifer Gomez Chavez as co-chair of this fantastic New Mexico Hispanic Heritage Committee, where she made a difference and worked so diligently. I mean, she's not just somebody who works in our business and civil service community, but she also makes a difference in our public service community with her leaning in when it comes to celebrating our people and telling our story. She is the community relations manager at the Rio Metro Regional Transit District, but she's so much more than a title. I can tell you that she is love and light everywhere she goes. She is at our nation's capital, which I couldn't believe that she said, I need a good backdrop, and not most of us use virtual backdrops. But no, she drove all the way out to DC so she could have a good backdrop for today's episode. I want to say thanks to her assistant, who's not coming to camera, but he knows that I appreciate him and think he's terrific. And Irma Ruiz, take it away. Thanks for being with us today. You are my soul, my heart, and inspiration. Go right ahead.
Muy buenos días. Muy buenos días a todos. This is just a wonderful opportunity. Thank you to Beatriz and to Lala, who organized this beautiful conversation this morning, and to you, Brian. Thank you for always supporting the efforts of the New Mexico Hispanic Heritage Committee. Very, very much appreciated. And I have never met in Yasmin or Jenny, but you young ladies are just, thank you so much. My heart is full. You ladies are really doing the work. You're taking it forward. I immigrated into this country when I was 4 years old. I was born in Ciudad Juárez, Chihuahua, Mexico, 1959, folks. 4 years old. My father brought the whole family across. He worked with the Bracero program prior to bringing us all over to the U.S. It was during his work with the Bracero program that he realized, with talking to the man, the ranch owner where he was working, and he asked him, Oiga, Manuel, ¿y usted? ¿Cuál es su historia? ¿De dónde es? And this Anglo man in Mesilla, New Mexico, helped my father, who my father was not an educated man, but the wisest man I have ever met. And my father would have never stepped foot into the immigration offices because he was intimidated. But this man, this ranch owner in Mesilla, went and did the research and came to realize my father was a legal citizen of the United States. He was born in El Paso, Texas, and he was able to bring my mother and 11 of the children at that time. 12 of the children. The 13th child was born in Albuquerque, New Mexico. But so my story is a little different. I came in as a legal resident all those years ago. But at that time we didn't know any better. Legal residency was fine. It gave us everything we needed. We had a social security number. Once we grew up, we could go to work. And it wasn't until I was about 18 years old, 19 years old, I was working for a CPA out in the South Valley of Albuquerque. And he was a retired IRS agent. And he says, and at that time I was Irma. I was not Irma. I didn't claim my voice until I was 25 years old, much later. But at that time, Mr. House comes up to me and says, Irma, we need a notary public in the office. I said, okay, sure, let's apply. So I applied, and much to my surprise, I did not qualify because I was not a US citizen. So he says, what? Why aren't you? You've lived here all your life. And it was because I was totally unaware. My family, it was just, most of my brothers and sisters are not citizens of the US, even though they've been here most of their life. We've been here 55 plus years. But what I see now, people immigrate, they get the residency, and within 5 years they become citizens. And that's good because we are the minority in New Mexico, right? But so many of us, because we're not citizens, we can't vote. So our voice is dimmed. Our light is dimmed because of that. So for me, that's a really big reason for becoming a citizen. Back when I became a US citizen, that was about 42 years ago. I think I paid $200 for the whole process. And now, Yasmin, you're familiar with the cost, and Jenny, I think it's in the thousands of dollars. And so it is much more difficult for folks to be able to proceed with the process. So that's my story. And I'm really just here to share. And I'm really thankful for Mr. House, just as I'm very thankful for that rancher in Mesilla, Nuevo Mexico, that supported my father on his journey. And I have instilled those values in my son. My son knows the story, knows the family story. He's first generation. He is finishing up his degree at UNM, and he's been working for community ever since high school. So he is working with our immigrant community. He is doing the work, this wonderful program called Abriendo Puertas, where they work with the parents, immigrant parents, to support their child's journey in education. Well, you know, people don't understand unless you've lived this, is that you come into another country. Yes, the language is a barrier. The whole educational system is so different. And how do parents become comfortable to walk through those doors of the school, of the elementary school, to support their children? Because my mother and my father never felt comfortable. It was my older sisters that were the ones that assisted me, because I was one of those little troublemakers ever since I was a little kid. And I was always in the principal's office, and it was my sister, my beautiful sister Luz, that was always the one there. Okay, what did she do now? And she
I don't believe it. Irma, a troublemaker. I can't believe it.
I still am and always will, but we got to shake chains every once in a while.
Somebody put maldita in the chat. I don't know what that means. No, look, what a beautiful story. Thank you, Irma, and thanks to your Hito for following in your footsteps of service. I've really enjoyed watching his work, and he's been a guest on Cafecito con Colon as well. So he is just somebody we've amplified and spotlighted, and just, it's great to have you with me today. Thank you, Irma. Thank you for coming in from our nation's capital. Interesting day. You'll notice that the fence is up behind Irma Ruiz, because they're expecting another rally, I guess, in support of the insurrectionists from January. And I just kind of blows my mind, but there's our capital, and unfortunately behind a fence.
Yes, I just want to say one last thing, Brian, and then I'll be quiet and let others speak. But it was such a beautiful coincidence, and there aren't coincidences. This was supposed to happen this way, right? I've been out here in DC for a couple of weeks, and Beatriz and Lala, okay, we're doing this conversation, and I thought, okay. And it wasn't until this morning I thought, I should go out there. You know, here I am, this little girl, this little Mexicanita that immigrated to this country, and we belong. That's my message, is we belong. That's what I've always told my son. That's what my father always told me. We belong at the table, anywhere and anytime.
Not only do you belong at the table, Irma, you belong at the head of the table. And I know that's where the New Mexico Hispanic Heritage Committee had you for a long time. You serve with distinction. You know, the transit is fortunate to have you at the head of their table, and you just make such a difference every day. So thank you for being a great leader.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You betcha. So now, you know, you can add whatever honorific you want, but at the end of the day, this is a woman who leads with a heart and with a passion for community and serving her people. But it's consul, it's her excellence, it is minister, is her official rank, I believe, the last time I checked. But in my book, she's just a mera, la jefa. I mean, she is just really a dynamic leader. Let me just hit a couple of quick, Norma, Council, if you'll allow me to just hit a couple of top lines, because it's just been a spectacular career. I've got young people that I mentor who want to grow up to be in the State Department, who you've met and inspired. I'll just say that you've inspired mentees of mine that want to grow up to be diplomats and who have Mexican origin, and their families are from Mexico, and they now want to be a diplomat for the United States of America. And you've engaged them in a way where they've felt not just present, but they have felt seen by you. And I just can't tell you, when you show up at these events in our community here in Albuquerque, it sends such a powerful message to our community of naturalized citizens, our community of individuals who are eligible to become naturalized, and those who, frankly, who have been in the shadows, who feel more comfortable coming out because of your strong presence in our beautiful city of Albuquerque. But you have had over a quarter century as a diplomat. in the Foreign Service from Mexico. You've been in different countries, but we're fortunate to have you to be the consul for Albuquerque. But you've been, I mean, I just can't even tell you. So abroad, she was consul in charge at the Consulate General of Mexico in Barcelona. She was a political attaché in the Office of Migratory Affairs in the Embassy of Mexico in Washington, D.C. She was deputy head of mission at the Embassy of Mexico in Poland, as the head of political section at the Embassy of Mexico in Holland. I mean, people in Albuquerque, you are so accessible and wonderful to us that I think it's easy to understate or not appreciate the incredible journey of service you've had for Mexico. And you've been an incredible ambassador. And I, for one, as a citizen of Albuquerque, as a New Mexican, my entire life, I just want to say thank you for being such a beautiful, beautiful leader in our community as Consul of Mexico to Albuquerque. Gracias por venir hoy.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your kind words, Brian. Really, I'm really grateful for this invitation to the consulate to speak about a very important issue and topic that is dual citizenship. And I'm really glad to share this panel with these amazing people that I've been working and collaborating all over the years that I've been serving here in Albuquerque, Jasmine and Jenny through the New Mexico Migrant Law Center, Irma, of course, and you, Brian. So thank you so much for inviting us. Well, yes, I've been living here in Albuquerque and serving my community for 4 years. And this is the most rewarding jobs in my career because it is very human. You have the contact with people. You have to assist and serve your community. And sometimes it's really hard because there are a lot of expectations about what we can do for them. But sometimes giving the right information, guiding the people to the right with the right organizations. I mean, that it's meaningful for them, and also working and giving all this information in Spanish, because there are a lot of people that they are missing opportunities because, as you say, there are monolinguals, and so it is difficult for them. So that is why we established this alliance with our important allies as these organizations, and working with the local authorities as the City of Albuquerque. So, well, yes, this is not a job that I have been doing myself. Of course, it is teamwork with, and I'm proud to say that I have a very professional and very commitment members of my teams working for the community. So I want to thank my team for working really hard in these difficult times, especially in the last 2 years, well, since the last year with the pandemic.
Gracias, Consul. Explica en español servicios allá en el consulado.
In the consulate, well, our main objective, of course, is assisting and giving information to our community. And we work with basing in 3 pillars: documentation, issues, Mexican documents as passports, matrículas consulares, and register people as Mexicans. The other pillar is consular protection, that it is mainly legal assistance. We work with a group of lawyers and organizations that can provide legal assistance to our community. And the other pillar that is very important is the community outreach programs, by which we provide information in order that our community can be integrated, and also to empower our community. And one of the topics and issues that we are working really hard is educational orientation, how to navigate in the educational system in New Mexico so that they can continue studying, I don't know, in any level, no? In any level. So that is very important for our community, and this is our daily work, no? Mostly our daily work with our community. But yes, this topic, dual citizenship, is very important for the consulate. And I want to say that we are working in encourage people becoming not only Mexican citizen, but also becoming U.S. citizens. I mean, we work in both directions.
Consul,
Yeah.
por favor, habla en español.
Perdón, ok.
Sí, por favor.
Este es un mensaje que quiero darle a mi comunidad en el sentido de que el consulado trabaja y fomenta y los invita a todas aquellas personas que son elegibles para ser ciudadanos estadounidenses, lo hagan, porque con ello van a garantizar y van a tener derechos y también obligaciones, pero al mismo tiempo invitar a nuestra comunidad, a aquellos padres mexicanos que tienen hijos nacidos en Estados Unidos, a que también los registren como mexicanos. Es importante, y nosotros en el consulado trabajamos en ambos sentidos, en promover la doble ciudadanía, porque tendrán dobles oportunidades, ¿no? Serán ciudadanos de dos países con todos los derechos y todas las obligaciones. En el caso de la nacionalidad mexicana, ¿por qué es importante? Porque muchas veces los padres son migrantes que no tienen una calidad migratoria regular, pueden ser deportados, pueden regresar a México por alguna situación, y sus hijos estadounidenses, si no son mexicanos, el consulado va a ser más difícil, ¿no?, obtener y hacer todo el proceso para la custodia de sus hijos y que estos regresen a México, sobre todo si son menores de edad. Pero también es importante que si son mexicanos y son elegibles para obtener la ciudadanía estadounidense, lo hagan, porque desde 1989 el gobierno de México acepta la doble ciudadanía. Es decir, los mexicanos no perdemos la nacionalidad mexicana si adquirimos otra nacionalidad. Y esto es muy importante porque hay muchas personas mexicanas que no obtienen la ciudadanía estadounidense por temor a perder la ciudadanía mexicana. Entonces, ese es el mensaje y en esto quiero acompañar los esfuerzos para promover la doble nacionalidad.
No, that's perfect. Thank you. That was spot on. That is so important. And I think it's probably, that message is probably one that is probably going to be, whatever we say today, the importance of everything we do is kind of equal, but that's a little more equal than the rest. I mean, I just think that there's an overrepresentation of people that they're not familiar with the process. They're not familiar with the dual citizenship. They've never even heard that message before. They don't know. They fundamentally don't know. At least when I talk to my mentees about this process, they just have no understanding of it. And so thank you for delivering that so beautifully. And in a way, you know, my son is completely bilingual. He's an Albuquerque High Bulldog, went to George Washington, and he reads, writes, and speaks in Spanish. But I really have to lean in and pay attention. But Consul, your Spanish is so impeccable and comfortable for me. I can stay with you. And so thank you for delivering that message in a beautiful way. I think I want to pivot over to Jenny because I want to talk, because I think it's a good segue to talk about kind of the services. And I know you have your hija de NMILC with you here today. What we didn't mention is that that Jasmine is actually a prodigy that actually flowed through NMILC. If I remember the history correctly, Jasmine was an associate attorney or intern at NMILC at some point when Jasmine and I don't talk as frequently as I'd like, but I feel like you were at NMILC at one point. So I know that this is comfortable for her as well. But Jenny, can you talk a little bit about how potential individuals can engage with NMILC, New Mexico Immigrant Law Center, and I'll put the website, your landing page in the chat right now. We've got some great folks listening in, like Patricia Chavez and Orlando and Damian and Cyrus and Thomas and Philip and Roberta and Lala, and everybody's tuned in. We got a lot of great viewers on this episode of Cafecito con Colón. But let me just say, Jenny, take it away. Talk to us a little bit about the direct services that you provide.
Sure. Like I mentioned before, pre-COVID, we had a weekly workshop at Encuentro that anyone from the community could come between the hours of 1 and 5 and ask any questions they had and receive help with applications. Our model is to help people represent themselves. So we review applications, and then the folks that we serve can go ahead and submit their application. In the pandemic context, we just have individuals call our office. We don't have a weekly workshop setting anymore until the pandemic ends. And so we have an intake system in our office where individuals who would like services can call. As I mentioned, it has been incredibly challenging. Our ability to provide services it's just much slower in this model. The walk-in clinic was much more efficient. And so that's just been a struggle that will continue during the pandemic. The other struggle is that, I think every organization in New Mexico is has very minimal funding for citizenship work. And that's a structural problem that we're, really trying to address in terms of direct support for citizenship work. And so, the conversations that I've had with Catholic Charities and Santa Fe Dreamers Project, we're all facing similar issues. And so I would just like to take this moment just to, anyone that can think of ways to support this work. It's a critical need and something that's incredibly under-resourced, and we do the best that we can with the resources that we have at the moment. We did have to actually pause services for the last month or two. And in October 1st, we're going to reopen because we got so far behind because the COVID process was so much more challenging. I don't know, Jasmine, if you want to add anything just from your time at NMILC and your perspective.
That's a great Passover. Actually, during Yom Kippur, I said Passover. That's kind of funny. That's a great Passover to Jasmine, but Jasmine does have a beautiful connection with NMILC. So I want to give it to her to talk about that journey, because it's just kind of briefly, but give that journey because it really is poetic and impactful. But also, will you take a minute, Jasmine? I wanted to go to you to talk a little bit about, I posted in the chat all the links to the consulate. I posted the link to NMILC. Please make a contribution. Lely and I will be making a $100 contribution to NMILC today in honor of this panel. And I encourage others to do the same. But I put the link to the Office of Equity and Inclusion for the City of Albuquerque. And I also put the link to the OIRA. So I was hoping, Jasmine, will you talk about the connection and the work at NMILC as it related to your journey and also to OIRA, if you don't mind?
Yeah, of course. I think it's really interesting because it's full circle, Consul Ann being here, the NMILC, OIRA. The reason why organizations like the NMILC are so important is because I first met Jenny and came to the NMILC as a client. When I was 16, I learned that I was undocumented, and the first attorney that I ever spoke to essentially said, you're no one as far as this country is concerned, you don't exist. And so that was back in 2008. And I met Jenny in the summer of 2015, and I was terrified out of my mind because I had had a very negative experience with an attorney beforehand. And through Nordi Kalishman, he connected me to Jenny and said, you need to meet this person. I think you're eligible for this thing called DACA. I'm not really sure, but I think this is it. And I remember my twin sister and I meeting Jenny at this satellite downtown that's no longer there. And Jenny was like, yeah, you totally qualify for DACA. And one of her attorneys took mine and my sister's case. And, you know, as is the story of many immigrant families, there were two of us. And at the time it was about 450, 495 to apply for DACA. So even then we were like, well, who goes? You go, I go? How exactly do we pay? So it was organizations like the Mexican consulate who helped us pay through a Mezquite scholarship for school, and then going to El Centro de la Raza at UNM to get an emergency scholarship to pay for our DACA application. And that's how we were able to obtain DACA. And then in law school, I was able to intern with the New Mexico Immigrant Law Center. I didn't know what I was doing, what I was going to do. And Jenny was like, it's okay, we'll teach you. We have attorneys who can support you in learning what immigration law looks like. And, you know, as an immigrant who had been marginalized by the immigration laws, it was also terrifying. Like, you want me to work in the same system that tells me that I don't exist? Which was amazing, because then I learned that, you know, yeah, we need immigration relief for our communities, but we also need to think about how to be economically sustainable outside of that framework. So then I became a fellow with the NMILC, doing an economic development project through the Kellogg Foundation's the Corrine Wolf Fellowship, and then became a staff attorney there. And it's been a ride, you know, through the data that we obtained in that fellowship is how we proposed Senate Bill 137 in 2020, which, you know, to Irma's point, it removed immigration status as a barrier for a lot of things, like becoming a notary public, becoming a nurse, becoming a doctor, and the advocacy continues. And couldn't have done it without the consulate. Year after year, they gave me the EMA scholarship, the NMILC constantly supporting me through investing in my leadership and my legal knowledge. And, you know, OIRA was instrumental when I was an attorney at the NMILC, really being able to create that bridge between what is the community and Albuquerque meeting, how do all the different stakeholders in Albuquerque come together and make sure that we're cross collaborating and we're not operating in silos, and making sure, you know, okay, we have this immigrant friendly resolution, but what does that mean? How do we push for things like language access? How do we push for things like, you know, the We Are Home campaign through the City of Albuquerque and in collaboration with other organizations like the NMILC? And I'm really grateful to OIRA and, you know, the Office of Equity and Inclusion, their director, Michelle Melendez. She's been a great mentor since I've come to work at the city as well. And, you know, being able to think through that critical lens of equity and an anti-racism and anti-oppression lens to our work.
I love that. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And friends, I can't find the recent story. I was Googling real quick and I couldn't find it, but there was a 2019 story on Jasmine and her twin sister. But I'm confident I saw a more recent story, because I know that I sent Jasmine a text when it came out. There was a recent story in the journal about your incredible impact and your journey. But friends, check out the story from 2019. It's a beautiful story that I posted there in the link in the Facebook. If you're watching this on GOV-TV channel 16, you can go to the Facebook for the Hispanic Heritage Committee, or to brian.s.colon on Facebook, and you'll be able to see this live stream. And you'll see in the chat, we got lots of great comments, and I hope all our panelists go back to my page on Facebook and read those comments, especially if you're having a down moment in your day when you're not feeling great. Just read those comments. You all are breaking my Facebook page. Everybody loves you and is grateful for your work in the community. Let's talk a little bit, maybe in the last 10 or 15 minutes, about maybe what people should be thinking about if they want to embrace this process, if they want to grow up to be like Jasmine, if they want to be able to be somebody like Irma who makes a difference in her community every day and not have to worry about looking over their shoulder. What should they be doing? What are there citizenship myths that we can dispel here this morning? Or maybe what are the things and advice that we can give for somebody who wants to start engaging in the process? Where do we start? And maybe I'll start with the consul on that, and then maybe Irma, if you could jump in after that, and then we can go from there, if that's all right. Where do folks start? Consul, like if they want to look at the dual citizenship opportunity, if they do have fears and they've been on the margins and they want to come out from those shadows and embrace this process, what would you want them to know first?
Well, first, I would recommend really all the people to come to the consulate. We can talk to them. We can talk to them and start an interview, and we will find out the ways we can support and assist our community. The first thing that they have to know, as I mentioned before, is that they don't lose a Mexican citizenship. That it is very important for them. And so that is my first advice to my community if they want to become US citizens. The other thing is, as I mentioned, for the Mexican citizenship, that is also what I have to promote and encourage our community, is that the process for Mexican citizenship, it is a very easy process, and it is free. I mean, it has any cost at all becoming a Mexican citizen. But the main thing for the U.S. promoting and encourage a Mexican community who are eligible for U.S. is to come to the consulate, and we will have a talk, and we will giving all the advice in the way that they will be continuing being Mexicans, you know, and that there is any problem or situation, and we will, how to say, we will advise to go to any other organizations that we will work and closely with them in advice for all the process for getting the US citizenship.
Right, so you'll be able to provide some navigation and connect them up with organizations like NMILC, like the Dream Team, like all the great community-based and impactful organizations that are helping you do the work you do every day. So that's perfect. That's perfect. Irma, any thoughts? Maybe any myths to dispel about citizenship, or what would your advice be to somebody who's contemplating going down that path?
Well, absolutely. For me, as I said earlier, it was a personal, professional need, and I was totally unaware. I didn't know, and so it's that. It's just I love what the consul advised is going in there and having that initial conversation, so that we can learn a little bit more about what the process is. But what it gives us is so much freedom, and it really does give us a seat at the table. You know, I became a US citizen 42 years ago. Back then, the dual citizenship was not an option. And I've thought about it for years. And I've reached out to the Mexican consulate's office, and I'm beginning the process. I'm just beginning the process. I still don't know what I need to do. I know one of the things is I need to find my Mexican birth certificate, and we're going to do it. And Priscilla, Consul Norma, is an amazing dear heart that makes all of us feel so welcomed and so comfortable and safe. She leads us in the right direction, and I trust her completely. And so I think that's a really big thing. Culturally, it's the whole trust issue. And I think as Mexicans, if we go to our Mexican consulate's office, we're going to feel that sense of trust from the get-go. And es muy importante. Si usted es alguien que tiene su residencia y está pensando en convertir eso en su ciudadanía, primeramente hay que ir a las oficinas del consulado mexicano y hablar con alguien allí en nuestro idioma, alguien que sea de nuestro país, hacer esas preguntas, y no tenemos que dejar nuestra ciudadanía mexicana, como nos ha explicado la cónsul. podemos
Bravo,
tener la ciudadanía dual. Gracias,
bravo,
muchas gracias.
bravo, Irma. You're my new spokesperson for all this stuff. You're fantastic. I
And
love you so much.
one last thing.
No
It
more
really
last
is.
things. No more
It,
last
it
things.
real, you know
No
how
more
I
last
am.
things.
Once I get going, you can't stop me. But one thing that we do need to remember is to have the conversations with our children. If we have children that are first generation, that maybe we haven't gone to visit Mexico, especially through the pandemic in the last couple of years, it's harder to travel to Mexico. And it's so important that we share our family stories with our children, because they are the ones that are going to continue this forward. And I don't know, and I'm going to ask the question, since my son was born here in the US, what kinds of options does he have as a Mexican citizen? Maybe none, but you know, we have to ask, and we need to feel comfortable to ask the questions, because we're going to our trusted professionals that are right there in the realm. And Jenny, I'm going to come visit you at your office. I love the work that you're doing. You may know my son Antonio Granillo, because he's out there in community working with our immigrant families. And Yasmin, muchísimas gracias. Estoy muy orgullosa de lo que tú has hecho hasta ahorita, y quiero seguir aprendiendo y a ver qué más vas a traernos a nuestro estado hermoso de Nuevo México. Muchas gracias.
Look at that. We're
Gusto.
making connections
Yes.
with powerful people that can do more together. And I think that's the most beautiful thing about these opportunities that I've had to host these fantastic panels. I'm grateful to Beatriz Valencia. She is the leader of our Lulac Flori Canto Council, and also with the New Mexico Hispanic Heritage Committee. We're grateful to the New Mexico Hispanic Heritage Committee, that is Orlando Versace Mariachi Marquez, who has been watching the entire show wire to wire. We're thankful to the Honorable Clarissa Peña. She and her husband Johnny continue to make a difference. They didn't need a title to make a difference. They just needed the jale. They did the hard work. And now she does it with a title and is even more impactful with Rachel by her side. So we're grateful to Rachel Hernandez and to all the community partners that we've had. We want to say thank you to the City of Albuquerque, the OIRA office, the Office of Equity and Inclusion, One Albuquerque, Channel 16 GOV-TV. And with that, we got just a few more minutes. I want to make sure we get back over to Jasmine and to Jenny and Norma for their closing thoughts. And I'll go to Jasmine real quick. And I want to say, look, we have matching stickers behind us. See, we got that EQ and M sticker flying high. Let's see who would be proud of. Well, there's a lot of people that would be proud of us for that, but most importantly, Adrian would be very proud of his. He's probably the one that licked the envelope and mailed them out to us. So nice to see your sticker there, Jasmine. I'm going to let you with the closing thoughts, but I just want to say thank you for being someone in our community that allowed me to pour into you a little bit, mentor you a little bit. But know that it has been disproportionate, because you have inspired me even when we haven't been in close contact. I've been watching, and you have made such a difference. My hair is standing up on my arms because you and your sister inspire me in a very special way. Thank you for being here today.
Oh, thank you, Brian. I have yet to speak in Spanish once during today's episode, but so I'll do that now. Una de las cosas que quiero recalcar es que mi hermana y yo no estuviéramos aquí sin nuestra comunidad. Y cuando digo que somos producto de la comunidad, I mean it. We wouldn't be here without our community, without all the people who inspire us. And, it's been such a wild journey. And I think for me, the most fulfilling thing is to be able to open the doors for those who are coming behind us. Super grateful for those who open the door for us to be here. And also uplift my community who doesn't have the same deck of cards dealt to them and can't pursue higher education, or that's not their journey, right? We are worthy if we don't want to be lawyers and doctors. We are worthy if we want to just exist and, find healing in that. And I'm happy to be here, happy to have that sticker behind me. Michelle Melendez left that here. I have her old office, and my sister would be very proud of me as part of the UndocuQueer movement, the United We Dream. And I'm so happy to know you and to know Jenny, to now meet Irma, even if virtually, and to continue working with Consul Ang. It's been an honor, and I hope that I can continue to serve my community.
You're amazing, Jasmine. Thank you so much for being on Cafecito con Colon on this Citizenship Day and Constitution Day here in the land of enchantment, the Tierra del Encanto, the 47 star on that beautiful flag of the United States of America. So let me pivot over to Jenny. Jenny, give us your palabra final.
I just want to say, just reiterate how important citizenship is in so many realms, both economically, as we heard, sometimes you don't even know what the barriers are for different professional opportunities that exist for citizenship. And then just in terms of participation, in local government and school boards, it's just, again, like I don't believe that our democracy can function unless we're all able to participate fully. And to those of you that have that are engaged in local governments and state governments, just a shout out to, I really think as a state, we need to invest in developing citizenship opportunities and resources for, it's already enough of a barrier, that the fees are $725. And if that's a family of 5, that's almost, close to several $1,000s. And if you add on top of that attorney fees, it's just cost prohibitive. And so hopefully, there's advocacy to be done on the federal level to make the citizenship process more accessible. It's amazing to hear that in Mexico, it's free. It's not free in the United States. And to the extent that our local and state government can support and make that process more accessible, any support we can get in that realm would be greatly appreciated, and I think would benefit the entire community.
Thank you so much. And, we haven't given a lot of advice on the particulars and the how-tos, because I think we wanted to get a little bit more of the lens you look through on the front end, and then a little bit about why this is important. And we did accomplish that. And so I think that the takeaway, thank you, Jenny, for those words. And yes, we want to talk to those public policy leaders that are in the position to remove those barriers to citizenship. That's the message today. Let's remove the barriers on this Citizenship and Constitution Day here in the United States of America. Thank you for carrying that message, Jenny. Look, we didn't talk a lot about the how-tos, but now you have the resources on how to learn how to engage with the consulate, engage with NMILC, engage with the City of Albuquerque's Office of Equity and Inclusion and OIRA, engage with the New Mexico Hispanic Heritage Committee and our leadership team, engage here, one Albuquerque, so that we can all enjoy the benefits of citizenship. And with that, I will also give rapidito, Irma, real quick, what's your palabra final?
I don't have, I can't be quick. No, muchísimas gracias. Y sí, hay que seguir la discusión y pásele a las oficinas de su consulado mexicano y hacer las preguntas. Allí empezamos, porque allí podemos tener la confianza que nos van a proteger y nos van a dar la información actual. Muchas gracias, Consul Ang. Muchas gracias, Brian Colón. Que sigas adelante. Yasmin, Jenny, the work continues. The work never stops.
The work continues. Adelante. Let's keep moving forward. I love you, Irma. I am grateful that you're in my life. And just appreciate all that you do. I want to say thanks to Catherine for joining us today. She's out there. She's doing great work in communities of color, underrepresented, marginalized communities. So thank you, Catherine, for being with us. Thomas, thank you for joining us. And Dr. Steffi Mack, thank you for bringing the heat this morning. And we're going to give the última palabra to the incredible guest that we had this morning, who's taken so much time to engage stakeholders in Albuquerque in a very distinguished and eloquent way, but also in a way that is approachable. And I just want to say that I have worked with your predecessors, Consul, and I can tell you that you are the most accessible and most easy to engage with. And I think that matters in New Mexico. You know, in other places, the council maybe should carry themselves with the airs of distinction that they deserve. If those words translate, Norma, I hope they do. Because it's not that the airs of distinction aren't deserved, because they are. You've led such a distinguished career of service, but your ability to be accessible and approachable really matters in a community like Albuquerque, because we are one Albuquerque. We are a community that is used to being able to approach one another, and you've been that for us. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Mil gracias. Gracias por venir. Y la última palabra de Norma.
Muchas gracias, querido Brian. Y bueno, reiterar lo que he dicho y ha comentado Irma, y lo agradezco. Acérquense a su consulado. Estamos para servirles. Nuestra comunidad es la razón por la que estamos aquí en Albuquerque, en Nuevo México, y la razón de todo nuestro trabajo. Muchas gracias a todas las organizaciones aliadas del consulado, porque insisto, este trabajo no lo podríamos hacer sin la ayuda ni la colaboración de organizaciones y de las autoridades locales. Muchas gracias y los esperamos en el consulado.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And ladies and gentlemen, this has been a special episode, and one that I'll never forget, of Cafecito con Colón, with 4 dynamic leaders in our community who also happen to be great women, who set the example that when our young girls in our community, the next generation, look up, they see a reflection of themselves and who they can be. And that doesn't happen without leaders like the council, without leaders like Irma, without leaders like Jenny, and without leaders like Jasmine. I'm grateful for all of you. Thank you for making up our community, and thank you for always lifting up ABQ. My name is Brian Colon. It's been 991 days of awesome as your state auditor. Please post and share this episode on this Citizenship and Constitution Day here in the land of enchantment, the Tierra del Encanto, the 47 star on that beautiful flag of the United States of America. Have a great weekend. Gracias a todos por venir y tengan buen fin de semana y adelante. Adiós todos.